your new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Nick Saban does not play anybody less than he doesn't put anybody less on the field than his very best players.
Bama does what Bama do.
Sorry, I heard a noise. My bad. Somebody just left it on. Left it on my step.
That Colorado defense is definitely underrated, but they ended up pulling it out late. They have one of the players to watch for, Isaiah Spiller.
Oh, it's better. It's better now. Trust me. Like back in the day, there was at least one murder. So I mean, it's better now.
You realize that you're not doing anything to press your case by getting me to go down there. Nah, man, come on down there. It was only one murder. Yeah, they're only averaging one murder a year.
And shout out to Florida. They're playing them this Saturday. Number 11 ranked Florida playing number 1 Alabama. So I think that's going to be a high scoring game. And
wow. Well played, Collin. Well played. I did not see that one coming. you get a double finger point, one for me and one for Sean. You know, you.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
So what's the big thing?
Hey, gang, what's going on? It's your guy, Mr. Fingaz, coming to you live from Zagnif Central. And that handsome fella over there, I had to catch which way I was pointing because we're on opposite sides of the screen this week. My brother from another, Collin P. Brother, man, you know what? It was an interesting weekend, man. It was a very, very interesting weekend.
That it was. I've definitely had better weekends. I'll tell you that for sure. But
you and me both, Doc. You and me both.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Let's put it that way.
And not necessarily in a good way. But before we get into that, welcome to this week's episode of This Week in SEC Football, sponsored by DJG Enterprises. They are your home for custom-made gear. They can get you some of these engraved. They can get you some of these engraved tumblers and insulated tumblers and these custom-made Afghans. They can make whatever you want as far as your favorite sports team. Get at them today, www.greekgans.com. Thank you so much for being a sponsor of This Week in SEC Football. Hey, bro, look, hang on a second, because I'm having problems, y'all. I don't know if you've noticed, we've been having some problems with having a little bit of a lag. So until we get it straightened out, we're only streaming to the YouTube, but I have to post the links to Facebook and all of that good jazz. And the intro goes by pretty quickly, and I got fat thumbs, so I'm still trying to. Yeah, that makes my nickname a little bit more appropriate, doesn't it?
Hey, you've been doing pretty good though. You were bound for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, there we go. All righty. So, we just gonna go ahead and talk about, you know what? Let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun first before we even get into the elephant in the room. You know, it was conference championship weekend. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. And there's this team out on the West Coast, and they were pretty much kicking everybody's butt. They had one really rough loss, and then early in the season, and then they kicked everybody's butt rolling through the season, and then the season ender. They got their butts kicked again, and then they wound up playing the same team in their conference championship. Yeah. Oregon crapped the bed twice in 2 weeks against the same team. I'm trying to go easy on them just because I know we have there's a strong possibility we may be playing the same team too. But how in the hell do you lose to a team whose nickname is the Utes?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
So, that's basically, Oregon All they had to do was win and get in. Well, not get in, but because they already had that one loss. They had those 2
Right.
losses, so they weren't going to get in. But all they had to do was beat Utah, and then they probably were going to have a clear path to potentially getting close enough in the rankings to have a shot at getting in the CFP. They
Yeah.
lose to the Ute.
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
And then they turn around and they get their butts kicked yet again. So
yeah.
again, so that's all we got to say about that. So Utah winds up winning the Pac-12. We hope that it looks like there might be some shakeup in the Pac-12 this coming season, with Lincoln Riley making his way out to USC, and he's already flipping recruits that he heavily recruited. And
Right.
I talked about this on Friday. You know that I think were you on? No, you weren't on, but his agent was the guy.
You were explaining a little bit what was going on.
Yeah, his agent was the guy. All of those rumors about LSU, there's stories floating around. None of them substantiated, but the stories are floating around. And Lincoln Riley's agent was the guy that floated the LSU stories. So you guys could all go jumping on the hey, I saw the plane leaving Norman, heading out to LA to USC and flying back over the weekend. And Lincoln Riley's doing this and Lincoln Riley's doing that. Man, look. Lincoln's not dumb. He knows how this game is played. He let his agent do all the work. If there was any meeting between him and the AD, I guarantee you it was done via Zoom conference. He wasn't getting on no plane and giving y'all no more ammo, but y'all jumped all over him going back and forth to Baton Rouge. Plane left Norman, just landed in Baton Rouge. Plane left Baton Rouge, just landed in Norman. I mean, the Post was just going crazy. His agent supposedly floated those stories, so you guys would pay no attention to USC. And the next thing you know, Oklahoma loses Bedlam on Saturday. He comes out Saturday night and says, I'm not going to LSU. All the LSU fans go, what? And then Sunday morning, we would like to very proudly announce the new coach of the Usc Trojans, the former Oklahoma coach, Lincoln Riley. And it was a big coup, and we just shook up the whole football world. And
in all intents and purposes, he did not lie. He didn't lie. He said he wasn't going. He wasn't going to. Yeah, well, I'm saying I should say he didn't lie. That was one of the lies he did not tell. He may have lied some other things.
I like how you put that. I like how you put that. That's gonna be another clip.
He might have lied about some other things. That was one that he was actually honest about. He was not going to LSU.
That's gonna be another clip. That's going with Bama does what Bama do. He did not. That's one of the lies he did not tell. I like that, bro. I like that. Nah, I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you what I had did. That's all.
If I told you something that wasn't true, it's a lie. But I didn't tell you that. Hey, you know.
Well, you know how our parents talk about lies by omission, but we ain't gonna get into all that.
I don't know. Hey, we from the same place, bro. I got you. Yep.
Right. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we had that, but let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, man. Wow, no pun intended. The elephant in the room. Georgia comes in ranked number 1. Nobody, and I mean nobody, all the pundits across the board on Saturday, except for Lee Corso, everybody was like, Bama doesn't stand a chance. Georgia's got the most dominant defense. The biggest concern I have is on their offense, but the defense will be able to do X, Y, Z. And you're looking at the score right there, which looks a lot like a score we saw last year when we played them. And so we wind up not winning the SEC championship. However, CFP rankings are out. It came out on Sunday. They did rank us number 3, and we will be taking on the Wolverines of Michigan in the Orange Bowl on January 1 for the opportunity to go back to the national championship, which would be our second trip in 4 years. So, not too terribly bad.
No.
But let's talk about it, man. What do you got? Because I did come on Saturday night right after the game and talk about it. But what do you got, man? I want to hear your take on this.
Well, I mean, I didn't myself as well as probably a lot of other people didn't see that happening. And I did have my concerns with I voiced those concerns with the secondary. which they did get exposed and exploited quite a bit. I mean, you give up a 75-yard or whatever it was, 70-yard runner, two bombs there, and you got long yardage scores. And then our defense, that was the biggest question mark and kind of a wow, what is this for me? Because I mean, we weren't getting any pressure at all. It didn't seem like, every now and then we would get through the line, but it wasn't anything we've seen all year, and I don't know. And going to the Bama side, on the Alabama side is, I haven't seen them play as well as they did against us. I mean, is it something that, when they play us, or is it something we have bad luck? Is it they have their best days when they play us? I mean, what do you think?
I'm not 100% sure what it is, brother, but I had to be honest. You said this several weeks ago, and it still rings true today.
Bama does what Bama do.
And so they did exactly what they do. I have said this, as much as I want for the Dogs to beat Alabama, I have been telling people in several groups all week, the last person you want to count out in the NCAA, in D1, is Nick Saban. Period.
Absolutely.
You do not count out Nick Saban. We found out the hard way 4 years ago. Yeah. You don't count out Nick Saban unless you are leading and the clock says 0. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, even if you have the ball and there's 10 seconds on the clock, the defense will do something. If you don't have the ball and there's 10 seconds on the clock, you got a Tua Tagovailoa dropping back and dropping the pass in the left corner of the end zone to Devontae. Or you have a Jalen Hurts dropping back in the pocket and dropping the pass to a Devontae. You get what I'm getting at? Or you you got Bryce Young dropping back in the pocket and dropping a pass to Mechie, who, by the way, it has been confirmed he did tear his. Is it MCL or ACL?
ACL.
He tore his ACL, so definitely done for the season. As much as we want to beat Bama, should we get back to the should we get to the championship game, which I believe we will, you don't want to see that happen to anybody.
Oh no.
Especially in our case.
He had one hell of a game. He had one awesome game. Like he was one of our nightmares and one of our headaches.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, especially since the fan base right now, at least on social media, is completely split right down the middle.
Yeah.
As far as whether to love the Dogs and support them or whether to hate the Dogs. And then the ones that hate the Dogs are, it's Stetson's fault. And then there's some that are saying, it's Kirby's fault. And then there's the conspiracy theories floating around and all of that.
And what's funny? And what's funny to me, though, is, to be honest with you, like we were speaking about before, Stetson could have played a little bit better, but he didn't have a horrible game. Like, he had that pick six, and he underthrew some receivers. I think he had 2 picks, I think, total. But at the same point, our defense has never played like that. We have never seen that.
Not all season.
I'm not placing blame on any specific part of the team. It was a team loss. And for people, for quote unquote fans on social media, just to be so absolute in their, Stetson sucks or JT, if JT was in there, it coulda, shoulda, wouldas, all this kind of stuff. And then just completely neglect the fact that, they held our defense like they've never been held before, and that's what gave, we had this conversation as well with Sean, I believe was on, we didn't get back to the backfield. And what happened? Bryce Young was just shredding our defense, or shredding the secondary. He had all the time in the world. If we didn't, if we did get to the backfield, he was on his feet. Like, I'm telling you, I haven't seen him play like he played against us, this season. He was absolutely untouchable.
Yeah, and all credit due, Dog fan, giving Bama their credit. All credit due to that squad for making it happen, man. It's 536 total yards.
Yes,
421 in passing yards, 115 in rushing yards. They averaged 7.7 yards per play. They outdid us in third down efficiency. They were 50%, 7 of 14. We were 3 of 12. They were 0 for 0 on fourth down efficiency because they never went for it on fourth down. They did have the punt. Yeah. The plays were split. We actually had more plays than they did. They did have 5 punts. Penalties were fairly even. no fumbles lost. But one of the big determiners in this game, interceptions thrown. Stetson did throw 2 interceptions, one of which was a pick six. Another one gave Bama possession, good field position. They went down the field and scored. That's 14 points taken away right there. And that 14 would have put it at 24-28, which would have made the game a lot more reachable.
Sure.
I'm sorry, 24-27. I can't math right now. It would have been 24-27. You're talking a field goal game at this point. And the boys have never played from that far behind. They have played from behind, but never from that far behind.
And we had that conversation, Fingaz. It's like, we always said that, within 14 points could be a manageable game for us, but anything outside of that, it would be hard, and that proved to be the problem,
And we weren't that far outside of 14 points. It's just once they had us figured out, once they got locked in, that was it. It was a wrap. And it's not like, I know you cannot discount mistakes. Stetson did have 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
But he threw for. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say he did throw for almost over 100 yards over what his normal average was. He was averaging about 250. He threw for 340. Now, to be fair, he's never played all 4 quarters. All season, he hasn't played all 4 quarters. So there's that. But he threw for 3 touchdowns. And again, the beast of the day, Mr. Brock Bowers, 10 catches for 139 yards and 1 touchdown. As a matter of fact, he was leading the charge down the field when Stetson threw that second interception. Mm-hmm. So our boy Lad McConkey got himself one. Mm-hmm. James Cook had I don't know what happened to the running game either. The run game got off to a great start. Zeus ripped off one for about 15 yards. Cook had one for over 10 yards, and then it all went to pot. I don't really have any answers for why. I don't have any answers for why. Say what you want to say. I know there's conspiracy theories out there. The biggest conspiracy theory, which we all have heard and it's been floating around for the last 2-3 days, is the SEC made a whole. But it's well known that conferences whose schools make the playoffs get extra money. It's just like teams, pro teams in the NFL that make the playoffs get extra money, and the players get extra money. And then if you make the conference championships, you get more money. And if you make the Super Bowl, you get more money. So, So I've heard that, I heard there was, the whole handshake deal backstage. Hey, let's make this happen. We'll come back and sort this out in the championship. And the questions of why is Michigan not ranked number 1, or why is Cincinnati ranked number 4? All of that good jazz. And let's just be honest. We had a job to do. You had one job. I'm gonna go Game of Thrones on you. You had one job, and we didn't get the job done on Saturday. And as a result, we are reaping the repercussions. And the fan base is, dude, I just saw this right before we came on. I shared this with you. For those of you that haven't heard, there is a GoFundMe. I saw that there was a post for a GoFundMe to fire Kirby Smart. Me being the guy that I am, that has existed on social media since the dawn of social media, I have definitely learned to do my research. I looked up GoFundMe. Now, unless they pulled this down because I haven't refreshed the page, there is a GoFundMe to fire Kirby Smart. They can actually do that. They can't do that. They can set up the GoFundMe, but the school is not going to take that money. You're talking about it. You're talking about a guy who, even though he has not been able to get over the hump, he's 1-3. I think he's 1-2 in SEC championship appearances or something like that. 1-3, with 1 national championship appearance with a loss. He's taken the school farther as a program than Mark Richt did. And
absolutely.
Mark Richt was a damn good coach.
Yeah.
Mark Richt's biggest crime was couldn't get past that 10-2. Couldn't get past 10-2.
Oh yeah, we were good for 10 wins all day, every day. Yep, you're
Good
right.
for 10. And
Right.
hell, there's 100. And listen, there are 130. There are fans that are saying if Georgia goes through, wins a national championship, and still manages to beat Bama, it doesn't matter because we didn't win the SEC championship. Are you?
That's insane to me. Like, I mean,
Are
do they know which one's more important than the other?
right?
I mean,
You
really?
I mean, you do understand there are 130 teams in Division 1 in the
Mhm.
in the FBS division. There are 130 teams. Only one team gets to hoist the championship trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah.
There are 10 schools, 5 group of 5 and 5 power 5 that will win. There are 10 teams in FBS that will win a conference championship. There's only one that wins, one singular one that gets to hoist the national championship trophy.
Yeah.
One. I wanted to win the SEC championship. I wanted Georgia to win it. I really did.
Yeah.
But I would take that national championship trophy over Alabama versus the SEC championship over Alabama any day of the week. And if we make that happen, I'm still gonna be screaming "Go Dogs!" Look. If I saw Stetson Bennett at Whataburger down the street from me, that up here in Oklahoma, I'd dap him up. I'd be like, "Your money's no good here. Give my man whatever he wants." Yeah, but he's got an NIL deal. He's worth like $7. I don't care. That's my quarterback. Give him what he wants. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if it's Kirby Smart. And I know Kirby Smart has already made more money in 6 seasons than I will make the rest of my entire career, unless I hit it big on the stock market or win the lottery or something. And I will buy Kirby Smart it's a burger, it's Tucker's Onion Burgers, and they serve a burger that's a pound of that big burger you saw the picture of me with on Facebook. It's called a Mother Tucker. It's a bit. I'm like, Coach, your money's no good. You want a chicken sandwich? No, that's not what you want, Coach. Let me get 2 Mother Tuckers for Kirby and Mrs. Smart, please. Ordering 2 Mother Tuckers. You shut your mouth. That's what they do when you order. It's like, I need 1 hot Mother Tucker, and the cooks yell back, you shut your mouth. I will do that.
So it's not to jump off, but where you're going, I'll let you get back on. But the Fuddruckers have a pounder. Fuddruckers, they have a pound burger, and they ain't nothing better than having somebody order that. One of my friends ordered it, and they call your name over, Joe. You got a pounder for Joe, and you just look at that hamburger, and you're like, all right. You think about going in the grocery store and seeing a pound of ground beef. You think to yourself, I'm about to eat this pound of ground beef. But I'm with you. I would give whatever's in my pocket to any of those guys. Like, I mean, I have no qualms with whatever they've done this year.
Well, hold up. You going a little too far. I ain't giving Kirby everything in my pocket. I'll pay for a couple hamburgers. That's all I'm saying.
You gotta understand what's in my pocket. Because what's in my pocket, though. Yeah, not a whole lot.
brothers got bills. I buy you a hamburger, pat you on the back, maybe get a picture, be like, all right, bro, appreciate you, flex for the gram. And but that'll be it. But
what I'm saying is, there ain't much in this pocket, my brother. Ain't much in this pocket. I get what I got.
How demented do you have to be? Like, how many times have fan bases run coaches out of town and then been sorry? I give you a perfect example. Brett Venables was in Oklahoma, who, by the way, Oklahoma did finally get themselves a head coach. And Brett Venables, who is the defensive coordinator at Clemson, was confirmed today, or maybe it was last night, as the head coach, the new head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. And he was here. And a lot of people were pissed at the job he was doing, and he wound up leaving. They are so happy to have him back right now. I'm just saying, they're happy to have him back right now. You know, folks ran Mark Richt out of town. Like let's just say the folks that didn't want Mark Richt around, like, they didn't run him out of town. Of course, the athletic director made the decision. But let's say they had fired Mark Richt and brought in Kirby, and he turned out to be a complete train wreck. Right. You'd be looking for Mark Richt to come back, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't have the stat in front of me, and you may be able to get to it more quickly than I can, but I don't have the stat in front of me. But I do believe it was a goodly number of years before Vince Dooley, who had 1 championship, uno, singular.
Yeah, didn't you say like 15 or something, like 15 years before his first one, I think?
Yeah. It was somewhere in that neighborhood before he won his first national championship.
Yeah.
He was a coach from he became the coach at the University of Georgia in 1964. He did not win a national championship until 1980. He was the coach of the team for 16 years before he won a national championship. but he was building a program. You don't just hire a guy and he becomes the best thing since sliced bread overnight. Yes, Nick Saban was able to do it, but Nick Saban already had a formula and had head coaching experience before. By the way, y'all forgot about he was a head coach at LSU and he won a national championship, right? I mean, he already knew what he needed to do. He was building it up at LSU. Then he left because, you know, he got an offer he couldn't refuse to go to Miami and maybe win a Super Bowl. He got there and he was like, nah, I can't deal with these fools. Plus that I can't work on Sunday because I like to have my little Debbie cream pies on Sunday. And Miss Terry won't let me have them. She said you can either work or you can have your cream pies, but you can't do both. So he left and he got a job at Alabama, and he turned around and he turned Alabama, but he already had the formula built. He'd already won a national championship at LSU. So when he went to Alabama, guess what happened? Kids from Louisiana wanted to go to Alabama and play for Nick Saban. He built he had to win in formula, so he just built a dynasty. Oh, he had only took him a couple of years at Alabama. He'd already won a national championship. This is Kirby Smart's first head coaching job. And he is definitely
he's doing absolutely great for his first job.
You know what I'm saying?
But it goes back to what, you know, when Saban did his presser there, his quote unquote, people were calling a rant. I mean, this proves it all right here. Like, I mean, this proves it all for the Georgia fan base. You know, I mean, we can't, you know, we did win the SEC championship, but now they're calling for Kirby's head. You know, just because, I mean, we did make the playoffs. You know, I think honestly, this is probably the best situation we could possibly be in. I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Of course, I'd like to have won the SEC championship, but I mean now, you know, we're still in the playoffs. You know, we still got a chance at Bama if we get there again. You know, I mean, all is not lost, but it looks like the sky's falling to a lot of the Georgia fans.
Yeah, and not only that. Well, Ed Orgeron, Ed Orgeron was the defensive line coach at LSU for a year before he became the head coach.
Yeah.
So he had a year's worth of coaching experience there, and then it still took him 3 years to win a national championship. You understand? Right. Nothing is instantaneous. Okay, so yeah, it's taking Kirby a little bit longer to get over the hump. But guess what? He's going to get us there. And I think he's going to get us there this year. That's just
yeah, no, I mean, you know, the reason I said that it's probably possibly the greatest time for this to happen to us against them. Like we were talking about before, you know, we got 3 weeks. Got 3 weeks until we play Michigan, right? So we got those 3 weeks for them to figure out what in the world happened. You know, what was tripping up the defense? What was tripping up the offense? I mean, we got to get these guys those corners, you know, to able to you know, to see the ball a little bit better and you know, try to make some plays on the ball and maybe get some picks for us. Because I mean, we're gonna need turnovers, I believe, against them. I mean, we're gonna have to force some turnovers to beat them, I believe.
Oh, absolutely, because Michigan has got now what we're really gonna need is a defensive step up, because that Hassan Haskins is no joke.
Oh yeah, he is no joke. Right.
I've been calling people grown men all year. Hassan Haskins is definitely. I haven't been really following them all year because we've been following SEC real tight, and that's where we put our focus. But Hassan Haskins is on grown man status. I mean, the boy ran five touchdowns against Ohio State, and then he ran for. I got that pulled up right here. Hassan Haskins ran for 2 touchdowns. Well, he didn't really blow him. He wasn't a world beater, but he didn't have to be, because the defense just completely shut Iowa down. But even still, he had 2 touchdowns. He 56 yards and 2 touchdowns against Iowa. Yeah. The boy's a beast.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
So we're gonna have to figure out a way to shut. We're gonna have to figure out a way to shut that down. Actually, I think the defense is going to come back and gel.
They ought to be mad as all get out. I mean,
they are, really dude. You remember when we lost to Auburn?
Auburn?
Yeah. Was it Auburn? Did we win the conference championship that year?
Yeah, my God. We won it. Yeah, we won it.
That's right. We lost to Auburn late in the season.
We got beat really bad by Auburn. Then we came back and beat them.
We got our backsides handed to us by Auburn. And then we came back in the SEC. I just asked a dumb question because that's who we played in the SEC championship. And then we went back.
Who was the coach for Auburn at the time?
Gus. The Gus Bus.
He beat the dog shit out of us or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what he said at the press conference. Remember that?
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
And then we turned around and we handed it to them. I mean, it was a little rough start, but once the offense got going, it was a wrap. And like Richard LeCount and them boys flying around the field, knocking down passes and sacking the quarterback and all of that nonsense. It was a wrap. I think those boys are getting ready to come. Michigan, I have a couple of friends that are Michigan fans, one of which is a coworker that sits right on the other side of the cubicle from me. The other of mine is a very good friend of mine. You've seen a picture of him. He and I, in my first wedding, the one with me in the white tuxedo, the really tall dude, I've known that guy since I was at Savannah State. Is a really good friend of mine. And he is a Michigan native who has been a Big Blue fan since as long as he's been alive. So I'm sorry. It's like what you call it from Hollow Knights. Don't take this ass whooping personal. Just
yeah.
I'm just saying, because I don't think they're ready for the hell that Kirby is going to unleash on these boys.
I hope so. I mean, they should be mad. I mean, because they were getting mad because of, just a couple of yards that the other team's been getting on them and maybe a touchdown getting scored on. They got really upset.
I mean, and for the first time all season, somebody not only scored double digits but beat us by 28 points.
Yeah.
I don't think they have none of that. I think the mission from this point going forward is to shut down everybody.
Yeah.
That's the mission. That's what we're hoping for. But yeah, Michigan is looking. I'm going to be honest with you though. These numbers, I don't know what these numbers that Michigan's putting up unless they were just kind of no-showing a lot of stuff to whoever they whoever they figured up, whoever they wind up playing. I think they no-showed a lot of stuff. I mean, McNamara only threw for $169, and he $169 and a pick. Now Hassan Haskins is a beast. We've seen that. We saw that in the game. We saw that. So we already know what's up with that. As far as I don't know. I really don't know. I don't really have a whole heck of a lot more to say about that, other than we've really got to give. If we ever gave our best, now is the time to do it. We see that Michigan has surged at the right time. Cincinnati took Houston. Well, they didn't really take them to the woodshed, but they came out and dropped 21 on them and held them scoreless in the third quarter.
Right.
Desmond Ridder, not all that impressive either. $190 for 3 touchdowns. I mean, Jerome Ford ran for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. But
2 touchdowns,
yeah, but
the game was solid.
So I don't know. I think Cincinnati is definitely going to have to for Alabama. And Alabama's hyped now because they won the conference.
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati just better
I'm still floored, man. I'm confused and floored because I mean we haven't seen that Alabama all year, to be honest with you.
No.
And then they come out and take us to the quote unquote woodshed, to use your word. But I mean, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen a Bryce Young like that. I mean, like to that caliber, and their playmakers were making plays. Like, I mean, it was, I mean, Bryce Young doing that shovel pass, or not a shovel pass, but doing the option.
Option. Look,
how did you see that?
He pulled a Patrick Mahomes. It was just like even Gary Danielson was like, did he even look at him?
I'm like, he got his eyes in the back of his head. I'm just like, I don't understand why. I mean, the presence of the field is uncanny. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we haven't seen that to any other team that they've played, and then he's going to pull that crap out on us. What?
It's just like Gary Danielson again last week said, "Hey, this is where he needs to have his Heisman moment in the Iron Bowl." And you saw him over in the corner of the end zone taking a knee, saying a little prayer, and he came out and he marched them right down the field. They're going to start calling that one first, just like they got 2nd and 26. The Bama fans are already calling that one 1st and 97.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're calling it 1st and 97. And your boy Funny Man is the one that started it. So having said all of that, at least we were fortunate enough to be looked upon favorably by the committee. Georgia is ranked number 3. We'll be taking on Michigan in the Orange Bowl on January 1st, like you said, in about 3 weeks. In this next part of the show, we got this is going to be brought to you by Envision Social Media. Envision Social Media, creating solutions for your social media platforms in today's world. They will empower you. They will help you create, and they will help you sustain your social media platform. So check them out at www.envisionsocialmedia today. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, ESM. We appreciate you very much. So the top 4 rankings came out. We got Bama at number 1. You got Michigan at number 2. Got Georgia at 3. Got Cincinnati at 4. So let's just be 100% honest. So I have a good idea how I think Michigan's going to go. We already talked about what they did last week. We talked about our capabilities, and hell, even in a loss, we posted bigger number. Now I know you can't really go on that just because people were talking for weeks about, oh, you guys let Arkansas score 37 on you, and we held them to nothing, and you guys let Auburn do blah, 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 and we held them scoreless, and yada, yada. You can't really, but
you can't
our stats in a loss better than their stats in a win.
Right.
So,
and you got, before you go any further, we're picked by 7.5 right now.
Right.
I expect that to either stay there. I don't know if I would be surprised if it goes higher.
Plus, you got a locker room full of angry young men right now.
Very true.
You got a locker room full of
angry Kirby, and that was going to go back to that too. I mean, it's going to play along with the conspiracy theory stuff. But I'm not playing into all that. But I'm saying, it didn't seem like. Now I did see him. He was animated. Don't get me wrong, Kirby. Kirby was animated, but it didn't seem like he was as animated as I thought he would be. You know what I mean? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. His get back guy did not get any kind of workout this Saturday. Normally his get back guy is breaking a sweat trying to keep Kirby on the sidelines. I mean, we're talking about the same Kirby Smart that dropped the F-bomb on a hot referee mic when we were playing Missouri, for crying out loud.
Yep, absolutely. And that concerned me. It surprised me. I figured he'd be a lot more.
And it's things like that are playing in the conspiracy theories. Listen, I don't have any way to prove that they're true or not. All I know is we had a game to win and we didn't. We still in the running, and we still got 2 more games to win, and we need to go out and win both of these games, period.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling, as long as Kirby doesn't kill anybody or break anybody else's ankles or kneecaps or anything in practice, that these boys are going to come out in 3 weeks, and they're going to want to knock some folks upside the head.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And the other elephant in the room, what's your opinion on JT mailman situation? Do you think we'll see JT? Your personal opinion?
You know what? I don't have a yes or no on that. I think Kirby has decided that Stetson is the guy. It's just like people were saying Jake Fromm looked shaky in the SEC championship, and then he went to the national championship and he balled all the way out. That loss was not on him.
No,
at all.
No, not at all. Nope.
And then people tried to blame him for the loss to Auburn and blah blah blah. And then he went to the SEC championship and he balled out. And then went to the playoff game and he balled out. And then he went to the championship game and he balled out. It's just unfortunate blown coverage on the very last play of overtime that let Alabama sneak back there in the corner and make that. Yeah,
we got to give him props. So he's going to make his first NFL start this weekend though for the Giants.
Yes, sir. Jake Fromm makes the active roster. Hey, brother, go do your thing. Dog Nation is behind you. Win, lose, or draw.
100%.
Win, lose, or draw, you getting a start in an NFL game. Go make your money. Go do Athens proud. All right?
A lot of naysayers on him, too, and I hope he goes out there and just does his thing. Shut a lot of them up, because he wasn't giving his
I'm not that dude. Oh, we got some people in the chat. Let me see who jumped in here. How much do we consider the games before last week? That is our boy Sean Spencer, the shout out king. He's over there in that corner right there tonight. How much do we consider the games before last week? If you're talking Georgia games, I don't know. If you're talking Georgia games, I definitely think there was a different Georgia that we saw on Saturday. If you're talking about Michigan games, you still have to take them into consideration because, like I said, they are peaking at the right. You can't pick a better time to peak at the right time. Sean also says, I think they might have played up to you guys, but this will answer The question from the first show, go Cincy. Look. I got to give my man Sean some props. Early on when the show started, we said the question was, can anybody beat Bama? And he said Cincinnati. And I said, who? I went full Shannon Sharp on him. I just told him I was gonna rain L's on his head and fresh hot L's on the plate, blah, blah, blah. And Cincinnati not only continued to win, Cincinnati won all their games, and now they're getting ready to take on the number one team in the nation in 3 weeks to see who gets to play for the hardware. So good call, bruh. Good call on that one. You know what? I'm gonna give you one of these because you definitely called it. I didn't see it. I completely forgot about the fact that Cincinnati took us to the wire in the Peach Bowl. And irony, 2 teams that missed the playoffs last year wound up playing in the Peach Bowl are now in the playoffs this year and could potentially wind up playing each other for a national championship.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. For those of you that are just joining us, whether you're watching right now or watching the replay, thank you for tuning in to This Week in SEC Football. I am Mr. Fingaz from Zagnif Central, that guy, the brother from another, my homie Collin P. This next segment brought to you by 1906 Tees, 1906 Tees. Go see my man Rick over 1906 Tees. He does custom t-shirts. He's got a really nice one he's hooking up for me right now. We just talked right before the show. He said it should be ready soon. I don't know how long it'll take to get to me, but get at him. 1906tees.com. Do not put www, just 1906tees.com. For those of you wondering about the 1906, he is an esteemed member of the first Black Greek letter organization in the nation, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, of which also I am a member. Happy belated Founders Day to the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, December 4th, 1906. 115 years of manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind. Getting back into the fray. I don't know, but Alabama, Cincinnati. That's definitely an Alabama we didn't see.
Yeah.
All season.
And a Georgia we didn't see. And a Georgia we didn't see.
Right. This is an Alabama team that showed up and looked dominant from start to finish against a team that was expected to beat them. Because if you look at Alabama's schedule, there wasn't really anybody that we thought would beat them except for Auburn. And then 7 or 8 games down into the season, we knew that Auburn probably wasn't going to beat them, but they were at least going to get up for the game, which they did. They met that expectation. They just couldn't hang on.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you're right, Sean. I agree with you 100%. Whose defense plays better? What's that guy's name? Adrian Hutchinson? Guy's nasty. If we could have Adrian Hutchinson in the defense with N'Kobe Dean and Nolan Smith and Big Baby and Big Baby, boo. Woo-hoo. It would be nothing nasty. Both teams are definitely.
That'll go back to the quarterback. I mean, I hate to keep harping on the quarterback situation, but I am kind of interested in see what's going to happen. Will Kirby fold to the pressure of the fans or whoever? You know, I don't think he will because I mean he hasn't shown that in the past. But you know, I don't know what would make him. I guess what I would say to give. Or just to switch it up. What say you about them practicing these 3 weeks and throwing a couple of plays in there where JT does come in and kind of switches it up? Do you see that happening or no? Or business as usual?
Kirby doesn't really do a whole lot of trick plays. I mean, he tried to do the fake punt on 4th down last year that fell apart, and he had a couple other plays. I've really only seen Kirby run a couple of trick plays. That nasty flea flicker.
That was dirty.
That flea flicker and. I forget if it was the SEC championship or the national championship game. That nasty flea flicker, and he hit DeAndre Swift, full stride right in the breadbasket. That was nasty. Then he did the whole that Big Baby they pulled the refrigerator parry. They gave Big Baby a touchdown. And then the fake punt that he tried or fake field goal last year that just ended horribly. But
Yeah.
Sean makes a very valid point. When you go to
Absolutely.
the dance, you dance with the one that brought you.
And
Now,
I agree.
when
I
it
was
comes
just
down,
bringing it up for conversation. So
when it come down to the national championship, the national championship is all a coach has got. The coach has got one job though. Here's the thing: the coach has one job, and that is to win that game. And if that means, sometimes it means, unfortunately, we saw Nick do it. You gotta, and it wasn't a permanent benching, mind you.
no,
He took Jalen. He said, "Hey, let's let him go in here and see if we can win this thing. You did, hey, bro, you did your best. Come on, have a seat." And then he turned around and flipped the script. He said, "Hey, Tua, come on and sit down. Let Jalen go get this one for us." You dig what I'm saying? So
yes,
I'm not taking anything away from it, but that would not be, it would not be an affront. The Stetson Bennett, if Stetson Bennett hasn't done everything he can to prove that he deserves to be the first string quarterback, and every quarterback, even great quarterbacks, have bad games. I've seen games
sure.
when Tom Brady's thrown. So I keep talking about Tom Brady, but
Yeah.
he's the benchmark right now. Tom
But
Brady
I mean,
has
look
thrown.
at what he's done last year compared or this year compared to last year. I mean, he's done a complete 180. Like look at the Stetson, look at the mailman from last year, and look at the mailman from this year. I mean, it's complete change. Now, I wasn't saying more. I wasn't saying like trick plays or anything like that. And you mentioned about the two Hurts kind of subbing one for the other, kind of to kind of disrupt the game, or maybe the pace of the game, or some kind of like that, maybe to take them off their heels or something like that. I was saying maybe would he try that, but I'm not saying permanently replace Stetson with JT. I'm saying like maybe throw him in for a couple plays or something like that to maybe disrupt the game. Whatever.
Maybe.
But,
Maybe, but I've never known Kirby to be that guy. The only time I've ever seen Kirby really put somebody else in is Dewan Mathis was completely stinking. Like if Stets comes out and he's stinking up the joint, JT's going in.
Oh yeah.
If he's stinking it up early, JT, we'll see JT.
Yeah.
And
That's
even then, he'll put him in the game long enough for Stets to get his head together, and he'll put Stets back in. That's the kind of guy Kirby is.
That's a good point.
You talking Alabama?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to explain what you mean by that, Sean. But yeah, that's pretty much the only way I'll see him doing that. I will say this: I foresee at the end of the season, I do see Carson Beck jumping in the portal. I potentially see JT jumping in the
That's gonna be the next one. Does he have one more year?
JT's got one more year. Stetson probably has one. Stetson has a year too, but I foresee Stetson probably dipping his toe in the draft pool. But if there's a quarterback competition, and it looks like the competition is going to be tight, I see JT jumping ship. I definitely see Carson jumping ship because you got Vandergriff waiting in the background.
I'm excited to see him. Yeah.
You got Vandergriff waiting in the background. You got the other kid who's supposed to be coming in next year. Coming in next year after he graduates is supposed to be absolutely nasty too. Plus that they're courting Arch Manning, and if Arch Manning comes to Athens, it's not the competition is going to be a formality.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. I don't know, man. I feel like there are a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of unknowns left. I think Georgia's got what it takes to make it happen. I think Kirby is an excellent coach, and I think Kirby can motivate the guys to make it happen. It's just a matter of seeing it happen, but it's got to start with Michigan. It's got to start with Michigan. You definitely can't after Saturday give Michigan that same leeway that you gave Alabama at all. Period. You can't. I mean, absolutely. Kirby's got to throw everything he can at him, every single thing he can. So I mean, that's basically what that boils down to, my guy. I mean, Georgia's got to make it happen. I know we were going to talk about some other stuff, but we basically covered all of that. We know that Cincinnati gave Houston a light little tapping on the backside, but they beat them well enough. They beat them well enough for them to know that they've been beaten. So I think Cincinnati, Alabama, I think that was going to be closer than a lot of people give credit for.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Alabama's favored, especially after their performance this past Saturday. But I think it's going to be a close one. I think it could go either way, and it's going to be close whichever way it goes.
Yeah, and I think
blowout.
Magic that potentially could be could affect them, in the long run, him being out of the game. But I mean, I'm sure they got another one next man up. I'm sure they got another guy that's ready to fill those shoes. More than good enough.
So that's where we are, folks. Undefeated number 1 Georgia drops 1 to number 3 Bama, and here we are with the CFP. Unfortunately, Notre Dame and is it Ohio State, Oklahoma State?
Oh, good question.
I feel bad. I feel so unprepared today. I say that every week. I got to start doing better. I used to have 82 pages of notes, and I basically came in here today straight from work. So,
well, hey, it took it out of you on Saturday like it did me. I mean, that just blew the wind out. They just took the wind out of my sail.
Yeah,
I was expecting we'd have probably had a 2.5, 3 hour show if we'd have won.
Bro, I'd have done a show. I'd have done a show on Saturday and a show on Sunday just to get all of it out, so we could come in here and do an hour today.
Oh yeah.
I had a couple of my Notre Dame fan friends hit me up, saying, "Man, we really needed you guys to win. Now I just need you guys to beat it. I need you guys to beat everybody else." And I'm like, "All right, hey man,
yeah, no problem.
You say that like I'm the coach."
Let me make a few phone calls. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get on the hotline and be like, "Hey, Kirby, yeah, this is the dude that brought you the Whataburger. Real quick, yeah, we need to do something. We got to win this one because my friend said he want us to win. So do what you can."
My friend say, I got to do it because of him. Nobody else is my friend.
Yeah. So wow, that would be a roundabout way of winning one for the Gipper. Georgia winning a football game for a team that they've beaten 4 times in the last 40 years, one of which was a national championship.
Exactly.
Who's one of their most famed players is the Gipper. So Georgia wins one for the Gipper. That would be an interesting headline.
So I was just looking at Bama. Wow. I hadn't even looked at the line for Bama Cincinnati. They got it at 13.5. Bama 50 over under 58. So I mean they're expecting. I would hope that's not all Bama. I mean I'm sure Cincinnati's going to have some of those 58. But
yeah. I think Cincinnati's going to put up some of that 58. I think they're going to put up a goodly amount of that 58. Sean, you've made me a convert, sir. I'm finally a believer of the Church of the Great Bearcat. So
hey, I've been a fan of them too.
Let's just hope that me joining the congregation doesn't jinx their chances of winning. So
that Georgia curse, they would put it on some other people.
Yeah. And so we're gonna get out of here. Before we do a couple things to wrap up shop, we did talk about our sponsors. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what we do and you want to grab yourself a little piece of this week in SEC football, we got our own shirts. And I gave it to my wife because it's hers, and I didn't bring it in here with me tonight. But we got some great shirts, lots of apparel. Go over there and check us out at zagnif-apparel.myspreadshop.com/all. I know that's a lot to swallow. Take yourself a screenshot. Go visit the website. Grab yourself some nice gear. For all of you Bama fans out there that are watching this replay right now, we have a shirt that we coined from one of Collin's catchphrases, and it goes a little something like this.
Did you say you?
Nope, that's the wrong.
Bama does what Bama do.
There we go. That's the one. Bama does what Bama do. And it's really nice. Got the crimson on the black background, so it's almost like you got your own little blackout jersey. I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of them in demand between now and their playoff game with Cincinnati. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna look at. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look and see how much of a discount we can give on those suckers. If we can give a discount, we'll come up with some kind of discount on those for all of you Bama fans that would like to have a Bama does what Bama do. Yeah, we got Bama t-shirts too, just like Funny May run the ball and Ramma Jamma Yellow Hammer. We got Bama shirts too, just to show you that we are an equal opportunity free enterprise.
Absolutely.
Go over there and check us out and grab yourself a t-shirt today. And yes, last parting shot before we get out of here. Sean hit it right on the head. Whoever starts, get the ball to Pickens, get the ball to Bowers. He had Pickens had that one catch coming back off that traumatic knee injury and still
Back
showed
shoulder
why.
throw was great. Yeah, back shoulder throw was a great.
Still
great
showed
catch.
why he is a dominant wide receiver in D1 ball, despite the fact that he's only played 6 plays all season long.
And Bowers must have some big hands because he's been catching some great passes with those hands. I mean, like he just jumping up and getting them.
Yeah, that kid is absolutely out of his mind. He's absolutely phenomenal.
There was nobody gonna stop him scoring that last touchdown he did. He ran through like 3-4 people to get to that touchdown. That was awesome to watch.
Yeah. So just to close everything out before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, just some closing thoughts. You got any closing thoughts? Because I got one if you want to go first.
I'm good. I'll listen to you. I'm sure I agree with you. Go right ahead, my friend.
Well, I came on before a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was many weeks ago, and I talked about the fan bases. And this is not aimed at everybody. If we're not talking about you, if the shoe doesn't fit, then don't worry about it. But if it does fit, like the meme says, feel free to lace that what up and wear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, I get it. You're entitled to have you are 100% correct that you are absolutely entitled to have your opinion about how you feel about how the team performed. But there's never one of us on that coaching staff up there. Not a one of us. We don't know what really happened behind the scenes. We don't know what Kirby said. We don't know what Nick said. We don't know what these guys were thinking. Maybe their heads got a little too big because, see, a lot of you all seem to forget that the last time we were ranked number 1 back in 2017, we promptly turned around and got our asses handed to us by Auburn. I'm proud of the fact that we were able to maintain it for 8 weeks coming into the SEC championship. But don't take your vitriol out on these players. Don't take your vitriol out on these coaches. That's like, you know what I'm saying? That's like you guys beating up a guy in a Ronald McDonald costume walking down the street from McDonald's going out of business. It ain't Ronald's fault. Ronald isn't the one making it behind the grill, making the Happy Meal. Ronald's not the one on the executive board. Things happen, and sometimes our team loses, and it sucks. And we have been how wonderful it is for us to be in a position right now that we have a team that is so good this year that we can afford to be that some of us, I won't say we, because that would mean that include me as well. And I'm not part of that number. I don't want to include myself in that number. That portions of the fan base can just jump up and say the coach needs to be fired because he didn't win a playoff game. I mean, it's just madness. It's just madness. It's some of the things that people are saying to each other and pull up and, I got you. I pull up and nuck if you buck and all of that kind of stuff. Just
keyboard gangsters, man. Stay out there.
People just calm down. At the end of the day, that's still the team we love. Come next September, come January 1st, it's gonna be a whole bunch of y'all that was talking all that smack. Will be sitting somewhere in that stadium in Florida, yelling "Go Dogs, sick 'em, woo 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 woo, GEORGIA," and crying and taking your hat off and holding it over your heart when the Battle Hymn of the Bulldog Nation plays. All of that, y'all will just be in there. I mean, crying, tears, the whole nine. I get it. Just roll with your team. Let your team know that you love them. Let the AD handle what needs to be handled. If the AD thought Kirby was doing a bad job, he wouldn't have gotten a ticket on the bus to get back to Athens. I can guarantee you that. And you want to know how I know it? I lived in the DC area for 18 years, and I seem to recall somebody with the last name Gruden, and not the one that got fired from Oakland, was told to turn in his key card at the end of the football game. The end of the football game.
Yeah.
Give me your key card. You're fine. No, it was the next morning. Because he went speeding out of the owner went speeding out of the tunnel, mad because they lost. And the next morning, hey man, I know you eating breakfast, but I need you to come on by and drop off your key card. He's like, haha, joke's on you. I left it in the locker room. See ya. Just make sure my check don't bounce. Deuces. So just support. That's all I'm saying. Let's show a united front.
And just to piggyback on that, there's a difference between criticism and just straight out hate. I mean, like it's just, it's you can criticize all you want. You can have opinions, you can have whatever. Just, I mean, you got to understand these kids are, these are kids you're talking to. You want to blame somebody, blame the coaches. Blame that kind of stuff if you want to blame somebody. But I mean, at the end of the day, you really have no say in anything. You're a fan. Yeah. That's where it stops.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that, sir. Good sir, I appreciate you. We're gonna go ahead and wish our viewers adieu. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I am Mr. Fingaz from Zagnif Central. That fella over there is the brother from another, Collin P. On behalf of he, myself, and our sponsors, DJG Enterprises, GreekGans.com, 1906tees.com, and I got a peek at this, Envision Social Media. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We will be back next Monday. You all be good. We'll be popping in on you. We'll probably just go to a once-a-week format, come in and talk about the bowl games and things we've heard and said in the different camps leading up to the Orange Bowl. So stick with us and stay tuned. We'll see you next week. Take care. Holla.
Take care.